Time. All right, everybody, please welcome probably one of the most intelligent persons I've had the honor to meet online. He's done so many things, and when I found out that he knows more about Vince Foster than most people alive do, I needed to talk to him about this because this is a case that should not leave our memory. We need to know our history so we don't report it, so we don't forget it, we don't repeat it, and most importantly, it doesn't die. Because we can't change things for the better if we don't know where we come from in the past. With no further ado, let's welcome the great, good-looking William Ramsey.
Wayne, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite.
You're more than welcome. So, how did you get involved with the whole Vince Foster situation, sir?
Well, it was really simple. I went to Washington, D.C. in 1995 for law school, so I was outside of D.C., and that event had happened in July 20th, 1993, so it's almost incredible, like 30 years ago, 40, like 30, right? But it was bandied about, talking about. This is during the first Bill Clinton administration. So I was in D.C. My wife worked for a congressman. We weren't married yet, but so I was there and I was looking for a job, and simply just went to look around at a message board, or everybody was trying to get internships and things like that. And I saw an internship, and I called the guy and said, "Yeah, I need help." And he was a lawyer, and this is who it was. His name is John Clark. This is him right here on the left. And this is his website, FBIcoverup.com. And that's Patrick Knowlton. So I really was kind of interested at that time. I was probably, being in DC, you kind of see things differently from the kind of inside the fishbowl, not outside. So I was interested in looking at things more parapolitically than maybe just accepting the corporate media. I had worked a waitering job where I had seen guys eating lunch like Tony Snow was the guy's name. He unfortunately has passed away. But you see him like off the record talking to politicians, members of Congress, senators. So you see these kind of behind the scenes relationships where you think these guys are independent of each other, but they're friends. They're oftentimes very friends and cordial with the people they interview, and that's kind of facilitates it. So they kind of facilitate each other. The journalist is friends with the politician, and they basically log roll, which is help each other out. He doesn't ask really hard questions. The politician isn't challenged. Looks good, looks smart. So you kind of see that there's more a nuanced relationship between everything. And actually, one of the guys that it was a Mexican restaurant just south of the House of Representatives office building. I think it was, I can't remember which one it was. But there was a guy who would come in at lunch and his face was sweating. And I remember sweat beads coming off of his nose, and he'd order 2 double whiskeys. And I found out that he was a member of Congress, House of Representatives from Central Florida. And I started research. I can't remember his name offhand, but I started researching him, and there's like this cover picture of him prim and proper, suit and tie. I'm like, this guy's a day drunk. He's not even a nighttime drunk. He's drinking all day. And so they must like clean him up and send him back to, whatever. So you kind of see this other stuff. You see some of the sons of the politicians. Like I remember a couple senators' sons who I'd see around town. Total junkies, like heavy drug use, heroin, like unbelievable stuff. Like you wouldn't believe it. So they kind of like a Hunter Biden, really. They kind of keep maybe their problem children out of the media. So anyway, so I saw a lot of different stuff. So I was willing to kind of take this job, and it led into kind of my changing. Like I just thought Vince Foster commits suicide, and it's still there on Wikipedia. They just keep calling it a suicide. So I just assumed it was a suicide. And then I started researching and actually talked to the people, and it's obvious that he was killed in a very heavy-duty kind of hit during the day, leaving work at noon, and dumped in a park in Northern Virginia, Fort Marcy Park. It's called Fort Marcy because it is an old Civil War fort, right, that was built during the original Civil War, I think in 1861 or 2. And they kept it alive. It's off of I think it's called the Colonial Parkway. And, people there, it's rumored to be a gay pickup spot. And people would stop there. It's not really on like the tourist junket, so it's kind of like a relic. But they have old kind of Civil War. I think they have a couple civil, at least at that time, mid '90s. They had a couple old Civil War uh, artillery pieces, but basically they built those forts kind of like a berm. Like it's not like what you would think maybe a fort or a castle was, but basically it was a mix of long chopped down trees and mud, and then they would build the fort in that style. So there were a lot of berms, but I was once I started getting interested in the case and worked for John Clark, and he wrote something called the Clark Addendum. He knew Patrick Knowlton. Patrick Knowlton was a witness who contradicted the reports of what the FBI said happened to Vince Foster. And that was, I think, Knowlton said, he's passed away. Knowlton said that he was at the park around the time Vince Foster, he saw a suspicious car and suspicious people who were staring at him. And it contradicted what they said. And he said he was harassed by the FBI. And that harassment was real. Like people were following him around, Knowlton around with like satchels and intimidating him. And they wanted him to toe the line. You see kind of similar things happening like that of the FBI putting the thumb on people who are telling stories they don't really care for. And you see that in RFK assassination and these other ones. So you kind of see how the FBI operates. They have a public image as this law enforcement agency, but there's something else going on. Clearly, with something else going on. Pardon me?
I said very much so.
Oh, yeah. So Knowlton contradicted. So that report, there were all these reports. There was all these officials, people from the FBI running this kind of insight into Vince Foster's death. And Vince Foster was from Arkansas, and he went to Davidson College. Smart guy, independent. I think he was first in his class in law school at Vanderbilt. Like a smart, intelligent guy, competent. And it was really suspicious. So anyway, there's all kinds of contradictions in the public narrative. There's pictures. He was found at the back of the park, so he didn't like walk in, like supposedly walk in the park. He was found on the side of a berm. The blood spatter on his body was different than it would have been had he shot it. The gun is in his hand, which is very unusual for people who supposedly kill themselves.
The gun changes twice. First,
yeah, I think the gun.
So first it's an automatic, then it becomes a revolver.
I think so. Like my memory's not as clear as it should be, but there were all kinds of discrepancies and problems with this whole study of Foster. So, but there was a party line. There was a public line that he, got depressed and he was under pressure, and he decided to go to this lonely place with a wife and 2 kids, and supposedly kill himself. And it's just a bunch of baloney. It was all nonsense. Once I kind of looked into it and went to Fort Marcy Park myself and looked around, it's like a complete nonsense. So that was it. But it was in the environment of the Clintons, like we were talking in the pre-show. Like a lot of people didn't know their criminality and what was going on in Arkansas. This huge Barry Seal, Boys in the Park, we were talking Boys at the Tracks, massive $1 billion in coke money as a distribution point to the larger U.S. So there's this huge underground economy taking place in Arkansas as this really a meteoric rise of Bill Clinton, who was, I think, the governor of 27, or like the Yale Law School, Rhodes Scholar, Georgetown undergrad, like from really nothing. Like really, his mother was a kind of like a bar denizen, almost like a barfly. Like she served drinks and she wasn't educated, and she rough, very rough tastes, I would say.
Right.
So it's very strange how Bill Clinton kind of rose to prominence and to the presidency. I mean, and like the whole Monica Lewinsky thing was strange, and just his personal tastes and behavior were very curious. Yeah.
I mean, you have the idea of Foster knew Hillary. They worked together at the Rose law firm. They all tangled up with Whitewater. it gets really weird in a hurry. In my opinion, anybody else, if they weren't being protected, would have been exposed and gotten out of political office, right? Nothing from you, no more. But yet it seems his pathway is guarded. He's guided to do certain things at certain times.
No question. Like there's something about Bill Clinton that's very curious. And there's been rumors that he was the offspring of Winthrop Rockefeller. He was one of the five great, huge, like titans, really, the Rockefeller brothers, the five Rockefeller children of John D. Rockefeller, right? So it was the son of the original Rockefeller father. But he was the one who he passed away fairly young, 60 years old, but went to Arkansas and kind of spent his money there. He became the governor. But I mean, it's rumored. I mean, the timing is right. It's rumored that Clinton is the illegitimate son of him, and it would make sense. It shows that he was privileged from the beginning, and he was curious. Like he was kind of supposedly presented himself as a Democrat, but he always was for big business and didn't upset the apple cart, so to speak.
We look at the things that they've been involved into as big business type scams, banking scandals.
Oh yeah, tons. There was like a huge scandal with, I think it was called the AFDA, which was supposed to be like something for running Arkansas. Like it was but it turned out to be a slush fund just for the politicians there. Yeah. There was scandal. Whitewater was one of them. There was another scandal where like Hillary Clinton paid like $10,000 on a cattle future. Like weird.
$100,000 from it. And
yeah,
it's just the things that go on. My interest with Arkansas goes back to the time when Hot Springs was the gambling mecca, right? It's a wide open city. Every gangster and a third cousin could come to Hot Springs and have a nice time. If you didn't kill anybody, fair game. You could do what you wanted to. Lucky Lorenzo was there.
Right. It was like a Wild West. It was like a mob Wild West. It was known.
But you couldn't kill other people. You could go there, get drunk, run the horse, do other stuff. Just don't kill anyone, right? And they didn't care. But one of the things that Winthrop did is he did shut it down. He destroyed that economy when he made gambling illegal. That hurt a lot of people, and I don't understand that aspect. But I'm not a governor. It goes back to the idea that perhaps Bill Clinton's mother was running with one of the many gangsters, and that's where Bill's parentage is. Either way, his wheels have been greased. He knows what he can do, and those wheels are greased. And when favors need to be done, he can do them, especially as governor, especially attorney general. You want an airport? We have an airport.
Yeah, Mena Airport. There's a really good book, guy. His name was Roger Morris. It's called Partners in Power. I remember reading that when it came out. It was kind of like a suppressed book, one of the many suppressed books that's out there. But he really goes in. He doesn't pull any punches. Like he really looked into that stuff, which is why that book was suppressed, because it was too much truth. But I highly recommend that for people who really want to kind of capture that era. It's kind of Wild West era.
It's incredible.
Pardon me?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
When you look at the airport alone, not necessarily the deaths related, which is tragic because they also include teenage kids, but the amount of drugs that was used, amount of drugs that came in the United States and distributed, right, as part of Iran-Contra, which we so quickly forgot about.
Right. And that was a huge issue too. That was another suppressed story, but the distribution of cocaine alone was in the billions of dollars. That was almost the real industry. So there were a lot of these people, supposedly there was just huge networks of ways to launder that money. They had to find banks and really kind of clean it, really money laundering, clean it all up. And so there was this huge industry there. Nobody wanted to shake the money tree because it was good money. I mean, it's Bobby Seale's there, right? I mean, Barry Seal, excuse me.
Bobby Seale's there.
Yeah.
And I can't help believe that many of those businesses in and around Hot Springs and around Little Rock were funded largely by drug money.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's hard to believe. I mean, it's a huge industry, huge amounts of money. And you can I've tied Barry Seal to David Ferry of the JFK assassination. Like I have to do a follow-up to I did a Barry Seal episode, but he's just a story in and of itself, right? So he dies suspiciously, going to court. Like, I mean, it was a real mob hit. Like, I think the people who killed him were like,
2 Colombians machine gunned him to death.
yeah, 2 Colombians. Yeah.
They kept him in a halfway house, an old YMCA building type facility with no security, no nothing. You could come and go as he wanted to. And the Colombians knew where he was. So this went into a show one day, machine gun him.
Yeah, he was kind of like set out to dry,
Yeah,
Like, I think that's it. I mean, he had you don't talk about money. He didn't know what to do with his money. He was like Pablo Escobar. He had so much cash. He was trying to find. I mean, that's another story. It just shows how difficult, how much money these guys have, and how hard it is for them to launder it. Like, they have to go.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. Like, he was trying to set up businesses all over the place so he could launder his drug money.
If you look at it in recent history, which is out of Detroit, with the Black Family Mafia, they were funding record labels. They were wanting to produce movies. It says, here's you want to make a movie, here's $100,000. If it makes money, great, fantastic.
Right. No, it's crazy. A lot more businesses are like that than you would think.
Yes.
Here in California, the big industry used to be, before it got legalized and spread out, but it was marijuana, like green gold, right? And so a lot of those guys had trouble laundering the marijuana money. Same kind of problem. You couldn't take it to a bank. You had to wash it. So a lot of, like, believe it or not, photocopying businesses and breweries and coffee houses are all money laundering things. So like, you would never believe.
Any movies, if you're a drug dealer out there, you have money to dispose of. I'm making movies. You can get a hold of me.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, but you wouldn't believe it. Like, you could go into a coffee chain and buy a cup of coffee. You wouldn't know that it's a huge money laundering thing. So they'll inflate the sales of that day. Like, that's the photocopy. There was no way the government could figure out, because there was no records at that time about how much photocopying was taking place. So they would just inflate it every 20, 30% a day and then launder that money and clean it up. Say, well, you got a successful business. It's doing great. But there's nobody in there. There's only like some old lady copying her will or something once a day. But man, your numbers are great, but it's all laundering. So anyway, so that kind of stuff happens all over the place.
All over, all the time. It's going in big time now with the war in Ukraine, with crypto money. It's incredible. With little efforts to stop it. But God forbid, if you don't report your Etsy sale.
Yeah, no kidding. It's really kind of funny, actually. It's a sick joke in a lot of ways, because what they choose to look over is really something else. Yeah. But yeah, and then if you get in the way of those money flows, you're dead, because so many people are paying for their kids' college, buying extra houses, covering their mistress payments. They're all doing all that stuff from that. So
money laundering is a big, big, big business.
It's real. It's a real thing. Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah, and not only here, but around the world. And what we will find out in the near future, I think, will boggle a lot of minds.
Yeah, you can look at the Panama Papers. They had some other scandals in Europe, like laundering money through Malta. So,
right.
I mean, what was it? Madoff. All these guys are super shady. There's all kinds of shady stuff. I mean, you want to talk about money laundering and how you get laundering and money. We don't know how Epstein got $500 million. Right? Like, how did that happen? There's no that. So he had probably had that same problem, whether he was getting paid for the girls or he was a high-end pimp. But like, I don't know, he somehow laundered that money into his own owners.
The land that he owned, everything else. It's incredible, and I don't mean to laugh as much as I have, because it's a tragic situation that sometimes. It's so incredibly wild. I have to laugh because I can't believe it.
I can't believe it. Well, that's the rumor of Foster. So Foster dies July 20th, 1993. He was at some meeting about a week before he died. It was either at Camp David or somewhere where he was with the bigwigs with Bill, and something, they must have discussed something. And something, it's kind of like a mob meeting where, like, that's where things are decided, and I think that's when they realized Foster wasn't on board. I think he was a do-gooder, and you can't survive like that in party politics. You have to go along with the team, and you can't rat people out or anything. So I think that's when they said he's got to go. So he's going to ruin our presidency or be a thorn in our side. And it was, covered up. And, there were, like I said, these investigations that were all ridiculous. So the government can investigate it just like the Warren Commission, 9/11 report, all these things. I mean, they can put effort and tons of money into these conclusions that are fashioned by the government for their own ends. Well, the outcome's already determined. And one of the interesting things that worked for Clark was that there is an addendum to the Starr report, right? And Kavanaugh wrote the Starr report. He was the number one guy. So he included stuff in the Starr report that wasn't, I mean, most people won't take the time to read the footnotes and stuff, but the footnotes are the most important part of the Starr report. So Bill Clinton's a strange guy. So the addendum to the Starr report gets filed. I think he's an independent counsel, right? Ostensibly independent, but he writes that it gets filed, I think, with the district court, the federal court there, the 3-judge court in DC. And then the Clark addendum to the Starr report, the judges actually slid that in. They thought it was important enough. So the official record has this kind of, conveniently ignored, doesn't cover by the media. Even the independent media barely covers it. So a lot of these true stories just don't get out because people don't have the courage or whatever. They just don't read it. So, but you can still read it online here at FBIcoverup.com. But it was a whole thing that was, the contradictory facts. And Knowlton got harassed. Like, he was definitely harassed. Like, he, there's just huge resources when the people are in power to stifle discussions on certain topics that are very sensitive. And this was one. So the government operates in a different way than the public thinks. It's all through the boob tube, right? It's got them pretty much.
They almost have no idea how the government really operates.
They don't. If they did, they would kind of be nauseous and feel disgusted because you can look at what happened in Arkansas as what's happening in Ukraine. I can assure you there's similar money flows, billions of dollars of tax dollars, and then the kickbacks or the shutbacks. And we know this is very current because this is what happened to Trump. He was asking questions. If you remember, he called and asked he wanted to know what was going on. He's doing his job, but that's what they impeached him for. I mean, it's unbelievable how corrupt it was. I mean, that's the whole thing. The people cannot understand the level of criminality. It's just
you don't dare get people away.
Yeah. No, they're shafting the average taxpayer. It's unbelievable. So I mean, the fact that that's the whole thing about party politics. You get people in power, the DOJ, who are loyal to the party, not to the people. So that's when the next civil war happens and then the cleanup happens. You're supposed to have the legal system, judiciary system separated from the executive. So it needs to be a clear separation. And that's really something that'll have to change at a constitutional level, is have an elected head of the DOJ, because some of the stuff is just, I mean, it's so obvious criminality and money laundering.
We look at the law, what was in effect when Foster passed. The FBI should have taken the lead with the investigation. Yet it was the Parks Department that took the lead.
That's right.
And they have no background in murder investigations. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Then you have witnesses report where this person's a gun. That was 1 minute a automatic weapon like a 45, and the second it's automatically now a 38. How does that happen?
Yeah, no, there's all kinds of sus things that happen. But during that time, there really was a great British journalist who reported on all this stuff and was mystified, actually, about how much had gone wrong in the Vince Foster. He wrote about it. His name is Ambrose Evans Pritchard. And if you can find his reporting from the mid-90s, please go find it. It's probably memory hold. But he was writing this is baloney. This is nonsense. I just remember his writing. He was actually new, and he kind of was around. He would go visit a lot of these places and people, of other stories too. But he was actually kind of because he wasn't subject to, the U.S. or whatever. But I've done also shows with Hugh Turley and Clark. So you can, and Dave Martin is the author with Hugh Turley about the death of Vince Foster. But here it is. Attorney John H. Clark, grand jury witness Patrick Nolte, researcher Hugh Turley co-authored the final 20 pages of Ken Starr's report on the death of Vince Foster. That's what you need to read. You can go to FBI.com. You can just read it. These are the 3 judges that okayed it: Santel, Butzner, and Fay.
Incredible.
Knowlton contradicts specific factual matters and takes issue with the very basis of the report. Santel ordered the evidence of the cover-up submitted by Patrick Nolte to be included as part of the final report on Foster's death over the objections of Kenneth Starr. Butzner, I suspect that if we denied Knowlton's motion, we would be charged as conspirators in the cover-up. These are crazy. Like, why isn't this public? So, things get memory hold. And that's how the crassness and venality of the politicians is like they're very much involved in shaping the truth of what goes out to their people they're parasiting off of.
And then every once in a while, something upsets the apple cart, like we're seeing now. Something that was going to be a smooth sailing pass with perhaps a re-election, the apple cart's been turned over. And now is the now is a perfect time with chaos to bring things up and ask questions.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I think Kavanaugh probably got his ticket punched or something like that by work on the Starr report that people are going to go, okay. Ken Starr has some background that leads back to Inslaw. So you just have this like incredible network that's the octopus or
yes,
whatever you want to call it.
It does it. And then goes back and then Reagan and Bush. Octopus.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. This guy, Miguel Rodriguez, was one of the original prosecutors. They took him off the case. His whole career was ruined. He came back to California and turned into a girl. Like, he literally went through a sex change. Became a transsexual. Like, it's kind of strange stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. I mean, like, anyway, it's just amazing cover-up.
It is. Absolutely.
And there were other people involved. Not involved, but like people who, covered things up. But here's
Sure.
this is a book that I've interviewed these guys about, which is Dean Arnold's book, Hillary and Vince. Story of Love, Death, and Cover-Up. Yeah, that's good. So I've interviewed Arnold, Turley, all these guys on my podcast. I've tried to maintain a record of all this stuff, but yeah. Turley, I always forget Dean Arnold's. I should repost those. Pardon me?
It's important to keep those records. It's important to get people information. The
history of the U.S. is fake. It's like the most fake plastic stuff imaginable. Yeah.
Have you read a book called Burying the Boys?
Yeah, I'd read from it. Yeah.
That's a good book.
Hopsiker, yeah.
Because it's full of information.
Yeah, no, he was a great journalist. I mean, Unfortunately, we lost him too. He was actually a real kind of gumshoe.
Did that author die?
Yeah, Hopsiker passed away within the last couple of years.
Oh, I was in contact with him. I have an autographed copy of his book.
Yeah, it's sad. I think he's passed away.
Wow, interesting. I interviewed him on one of my first podcasts too. It was a good interview. Interesting.
Hopsiker. Let's see. I'm pretty much sure. Let's see. I don't know. Mad Cow. He had this thing called Mad Cow Productions, I think is what it was. That was his website.
Yeah, you track some of the contents of an issue of an edition. I'm sorry. He was sued, I believe.
Hopsiker was sued?
Yeah, I believe so. I remember it's very correct. It's been a while.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah,
Daniel Hopsiker passed away August 22nd, 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Born in 1951. Yeah.
How old was he?
I don't know, 70, 69?
Wow.
72.
Wasn't that old. That's not that old. Sad. I get
Yeah,
it.
it is.
Why they
Well,
killed
world
those.
has seldom seen such courage, tenacity, humor all rolled up together.
Yeah. I mean, he wrote that book about the 9/11 terrorists getting flying lessons in
Yeah,
Florida.
that's right. That's right.
Welcome to Turland, I think it's called. What's fascinating about that book is he interviews the people. He interviewed at least one person with significant information about the terrorists that they probably never talked to.
That's right. I think he was on site. I think he was from Florida, so he knew all about that Hollywood, Florida thing
Yeah.
or whatever. Those are actually little those smaller airports are nodes of a lot of like underground stuff. So Menem was one of them, but those nodes are all over the US because yeah, it's just there's a lot of it's not a lot of oversight, federal oversight of those smaller airports is my understanding.
Correct, isn't
And
it?
you can do a lot of stuff if you know the owners, and the
Even
owners get
even
put in power. That's the whole thing. Like I think the guy who ran the one in Hollywood was a spook. Like if I think that was Hopsicker's reporting, is that the one that supposedly had Muhammad Atta was like he was a European intel guy.
it's fascinating about Florida is to this day you can go to country roads in the middle of nowhere and there's an airplane that's been flown in there and abandoned and dumped because its drugs been removed. But if you want to enjoy, it's frustrating. You can, as you are aware, there are programs online that allow you to track airplanes coming and going, right? In
Right.
real
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And you can watch these planes go from the Dominican Republic to Florida and never go any place again.
Wow.
What's more fascinating is you watch them take off from areas of Venezuela known for gold smuggling.
Wow.
Go to the Dominican Republic, then fly to the United States, sometimes then fly to the United States to Mexico, which makes you think, what's going on? Yeah.
Right. What is going on? I mean, if you look at the later operation, right? If people know, like he was an associate of Escobar, he had his own freaking like airlines, like
Yeah.
out of like the Bahamas somewhere. So I mean, these are huge operations. So much money to be made. So
Yeah. I mean, you can mean I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything illegal, right? But if I was a young man and it was mechanically inclined, I would become an aircraft mechanic and get myself a job in the Caribbean. You make more money than God.
I mean, the kind of money is crazy. Like these shipments, they are like talking 7-figure shipments. That's the kind of money that's being passed around. So, like Barry Seal was, like he was a made man. CIA, according to Hopsicker, full CIA, not just a CIA contract agent, but a CIA agent.
Right.
And like this is what these guys do. So Iran Contra and all that stuff, and Oliver North and all that. Like there's just there always has been, I guess, always going back in history, even like bootlegging and opium running, this underground networks of smuggling and money laundering.
It's been said that the United States was been built on the back of pirates. I think there's something to it.
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, going all the way back, even the English piracy of the Spanish galleons,
Yes.
right? Like, I mean, all this stuff is like almost secret money. I mean, so this kind of piratical sensibility has always been there. Yeah, I think in just human history, just the way it is.
The Bank of England was started by pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, and that's not going to go away anytime soon because the more the government wants to control us, the more people look for ways to get around the government and make a couple bucks doing so. Be it bootlegging booze, bootlegging cigarettes, soda. I mean, I know two young men here in the Milwaukee area that ran cigarettes for a while from Milwaukee to Chicago, took that money inside a recording studio.
Oh,
they're making good money. They're not stupid. They know what to do and when to get out.
Right. I mean, you kind of, clean it up. So, yeah, strange days. So Foster and all the stuff. I mean, it's people can go back and work this story. I mean, it's 30 years old, but there's just so much information.
So much to it.
Dean Arnold, Hugh Turley, who I've interviewed a lot. I mean, we've done shows on the strange death. I mean, a lot of strange deaths out there too. Forrestal. And I'm thinking that religious guy who died in Thailand, what was his I can't remember his name, was also probably murdered. I think that story was fake too. Like he was part of the LBJ thing, anti-Vietnam War, and he's close to Vietnam, and somebody went in and offed him. I think that's more credible. I think it's more credible than the story that they told the public, which is like he got out of the shower and was electrocuted to death by a fan, which is found on top of him. Like it doesn't make sense. It's like there's usually not enough freaking electricity. They regulate the electricity in the house to not kill you.
Right.
Be enough to run stuff. They don't make it lethal. Give me a freaking break.
The people decided to jump out of hotel rooms just like in Russia at
scenes. Oh yeah. Olsen. I mean, there's just it's so
people murdered in locked rooms. That's always gets me is, you read enough of it and you think this stuff has to be crazy because how can this stuff be true? But sadly, it seems to be true.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's a lot of bad actors out there, and people kill over $5 in certain desperate areas. So why wouldn't people kill over millions?
I can understand desperations about people killing over $12. I get that one. The thing about millions, I suppose I should get that too, but that's more to me sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's kind of a sad world, corrupt and people. I mean, a lot of these people also for their, political career, there's so much at stake for them if they're lusting for the presidency or something like that. It's like they don't want to have somebody frustrate that. Like that's what Johnson was crazy. Like he wanted to be the president. So not anything that got in his way from his, from his goal was, that's we're gonna, get rid of him. So Johnson was really something else, man. Really something else.
Sixes were wild.
I mean, that guy. Do you want to talk about? Okay, here's weird stories. There were so many strange deaths in Texas as Johnson was rising to power, much like Arkansas. But I think the last person to I think it was a guy who died in a plane crash who drove him he was working for Johnson at that time, right? His name was Bill Clinton. And he drove, I think it was the senator from Arkansas. Oh, no, from Louisiana. He drove him to the airport at which the plane crashed. Bill Clinton did.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was what was the guy's name? He was part of the JFK assassination, right? It was oh man, I can't believe I can't remember his name.
So many people involved.
Pardon me?
So many people involved in that.
Oh yeah. No, but it starts out the JFK assassin. JFK was the JFK movie starts off with a discussion between Garrison and some other guy. And it was that other guy that Bill Clinton drove to the airport. It's a true story. I'm trying to find this other one. Thomas Merton. That's who I think was also murdered, which is a fake story. So they put out this fake story to murder him because he was a very important conscientious objector, right? You want to talk about money flows? Vietnam was huge money flows over time, and that's Absolutely. What they want, and that's what Julian Assange understood. He says they don't want quick wars; they want long wars, which is why you just saw whoever's running the country, Biden or this fake Biden. I'm not even convinced that he's alive. I mean, and it's hard to say that, but that's how strange and weird things are. But he was in Italy with Zelensky, who's a puppet, and they both said we're going to sign an agreement with a 10-year plan to support Ukraine. They're insane. They're risking nuclear war. It's totally crazy. But that's so they can keep the money flows flowing. That's how corrupt it is. People don't understand.
No, they don't understand.
They don't understand at all. Let me see if I can find a senator. And there's a lot of suspicious plane crashes too.
Yeah. That absolutely goes all the way back to the Franklin child abuse scandal.
Right, that was the Caradori. I can't believe I remembered his name, but they blew up his plane. Yeah, I mean, there was so much at stake on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Howard Hunt's wife died in a plane crash out of Chicago, I understand.
Yeah, that was curious too. I think they investigated that and they found a Wellstone too. Wellstone was another one,
Yes.
right? He was anti-war. John
Yes.
Tower, right there at the church committee,
Yes.
and he died. He turns up
Even the
dead.
former director of the CIA went
Stevens,
fishing one
Ted
day and didn't really
Stevens.
come back.
What's that?
One of the old directors of the CIA went for a late night canoe trip to go fishing. Yeah, not really a good idea.
Ron Brown, like
Yes.
that's suspicious. There's just so many suspicious stuff. Hines, Larkin Smith, Larry McDonald. Just Hale Boggs is the one that I'm talking about. 72.
I mean,
Hale
and the
Boggs. I
thing
think
is,
it was Hale Boggs, and Nick Begich. Let me see.
it was as more we find out how corrupt the intelligence agencies were or are, I should say, the more we can believe these stories because what's not beyond them. So the FBI went from being you can trust the FBI because they're with the
Right.
government to
Right.
get away with me if you don't have a warrant. It's insane.
Oh, it's crazy. Super crazy. I mean, it's a crazy world. I mean, the people don't understand how ruthless these people can be too. That's the other things. Like if you're like that's the psychology of power, right? So people who want power, if you are criticizing them on a moral thing, they don't care about the morality. They care about power. So they don't perceive complaints or stuff like that the way somebody who's more moral does, right? Because they just see it as like you're criticizing me, keeping me from power and money and women, right? So like that's how they respond is violence. So it's the psychology of power that's why so many of the whistleblowers and stuff end up dead because the people even this whole like situation that went down with Boeing is incredible. Like how 2 or 3 people died. Like that's the way they're thinking about it. Like you're taking my money away. Why are you complaining? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna make me lose my house. Well, you're gonna make me do this. So that's the solution. I got to call somebody.
It's more understanding how the crack dealer who's addicted needs drugs might rob for money to get the drugs, right? But you get $100 million, you can kill a journalist because you want another $100 million. How much money can you spend?
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Well, sir, I really appreciate your time. If we're going to pick up a book today and start to read it, what book would you recommend, sir?
The one that I showed earlier, I would start with the Dean Arnold one about Hillary and Vince because I think it's the backstory of Vince Foster is much more as important as his murder. So what he was doing and who he's connected with. So he had deep connections. I mean, he was the White House counsel.
Yes, he's a personal lawyer too.
Yeah. I mean, so he knew all the files and all that stuff.
And so speaking of files, I just find it interesting that so much of his files
disappeared.
And other people's files have disappeared.
Yeah, people were rifling through his office the day he died, and I forgot how soon. I think they found his body the next day, and it had a bunch of weird rug fibers on it, like all over it, and they found his suicide note torn up in his satchel. Like, wow, a miraculous. It's like the JFK assassination where the rifle that supposedly shot JFK was miraculously found in a garage in Irving. A rifle, look, like they just brought it out, like just to con the public. So I think then somebody did a handwriting analysis on the suicide note. It was like not Vince Foster's handwriting. So these are very convenient things that pop up after these hits, So like that's the same thing about this whistleblower at Boeing. Like the guy wanted to go do the right thing and go all the way to court and make his statement made in a rule of law, just like the justice system's supposed to work, so that he had evidence of this. And he waited years. And then supposedly he walked out of his hotel room and got in his car and committed suicide. It doesn't wash. Like he just collapsed. Like he's fighting. He fought this huge international corporation with billions of dollars of wealth. Like, I mean, you can imagine the stockholders are just like apoplectic at any possibility that the value of the company could go down by these freaking dumbass, finance guys who ended up running it, not the engineers. But I mean, they can make that. It's what's that movie with George Clooney? It's Michael, whatever, where it's really about like how it was they killed a lawyer with a hit because they knew that, and the lawyer had a conscience. Like he realized that he was poisoning people, right? And he was a corporate lawyer, and then it was Michael Crichton or something, and it was the counsel or the head of the company that okayed it. Like, it's really intriguing. It's really something else. What's that got? Somebody that's got to know this movie.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff. I mean, history is.
So
I love history so much. It's fascinating.
Yeah. But the real stories are the fascinating. So the cover up. There's so many things that have to be covered up, right, and lied about. And it's the power of lies and power of fake history. And it gets very dark and deep. Like I've done an interview with Clyde, and like people in Skull and Bones are going in and tampering with the school curriculum, right? So you have these guys who have CIA connections, who have old money families, very intelligent Yale, making decisions, and occultists making decisions on what you and I read. So what I grew up with was not the real stories. And so, interesting stories, just like things that stick with me in time. Is like we had a high school history teacher who was a Vietnam veteran, African-American guy. And he sat us down one day and started reading from some of these stories of mine. There were hundreds of my lies. It was just a huge cluster F. Like it was the most unholy, sick, bloodthirsty war. Like they would just go and wipe out whole villages. And he would tell us that, like, what you hear on the news is a 100th of how bad it really was. Like in the rapes and the pedophilia and just the free for all of murders. Like they could just do whatever they want without any consequence. Like that was their number. They were just trying to get numbers. And he told us stories that like today they would have fired him so fast. But he was like reading from this book, like, and then they took the girl into the cave and there were 10 men and she came out without her, it is unbelievable, but it sticks with you because it was the truth. It was really that bad. And that's why I kind of, in a lot of ways, why I'm anti-war. Like, it's just the most horrible thing for everybody. Even the people, like the Vietnam men who came back from Vietnam were haunted by it. Yeah. So suicides, like, oh, we lost 50,000 soldiers. There were hundreds of thousands of men who could not readjust because they had seen literal horrorscape in Vietnam that they couldn't get out. So they drank themselves to death. They took pills. They just tried to anesthetize themselves. So, and I'm not saying that, I don't want to overlook the 2 million Vietnamese who fought against this huge empire, the U.S. empire. While the money flows to Johnson were huge, right? Didn't he own like Pratt Whitney or stock or something like that? So that's why I'm anti-war in a lot of ways, is these kind of stories that came back, and why I'm not for this whole Ukraine. And I know the scams involved, right? The scams involved in warfare in Vietnam and Ukraine.
Yeah, it's insane.
There's just insane money transfers in the trillions of dollars, right? Yeah. So they take money out of the fisc. I mean, it's almost like the U.S. has become like pump and dump operation. Actually, it's more of like, no, I'm not kidding.
No,
it's almost like a mob pump and dump.
You're right.
It's almost like they're gonna take all the wealth out of it, the elites and these kind of people in D.C., and they're just gonna bankrupt, but they're gonna have all the money. And they're going to leave the rest of us with the freaking, thing. They're going to burn it down. Maybe it'll be like Goodfellas or something. Like, it's incredible to watch it in real time, actually, this pump and dump economy.
Yeah, we got to pay more attention. Well, I appreciate all your time this morning, sir, for helping me be educated about our good friend Vince Foster. I have some reading to do.
Yeah, it's a sad story. It's really unfortunate. And he probably didn't see it coming, it's probably like a mob hit, right? You always say these mob hits. I did that show, Mafia Spies, or even like in Goodfellas. Like, these are important lines. Your friends are the ones who do it. Yeah. So people closest to you. I think. Yeah. What was the one? It wasn't Costello. I mean, the guys are always killing each other, but it was Johnny Rosselli.
Right.
And then who was the other guy who was friends with?
Legs. Some Giancana.
Yeah, Giancana. Giancana must have let somebody he knew into the garage, and then they shot him mafia style because they thought he was talking, right? So they shot him in the mouth.
At the same time, they had him on tape. He was screwing half a dozen starlets that were also FBI informants. But this is dead. Interesting too that Giancana's Chicago police detail happened to be relocated that night of his death.
Yeah, so they front load stuff and they set things up. It's like you see the puzzle pieces or the chess pieces move before they do the hit. So these political hits are just like the mob hits. I mean, it's not. I mean, some of these political parties really operate no different than the crime family.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how long Hunter lives after his father leaves office.
Yeah, I mean,
insane stuff.
It's disgusting. It's actually, you need to go like take a shower with a Brillo pad. Like you just want to get the stench of how rotten these people are. They're that rotten. Like they will run this war against Russia, which is insane, on the Russians' border, who have nukes, and kill 500,000 men, young men in the prime of their life, send them to the front against very skilled military power in Russia. Like the effectiveness. I mean, they've lost people too, but they will do that, make money, and not care.
No.
So they're worse. There's some kind of psychology of power that's sociopathic, psychopathic, and murderous and bloodlust. Like it's really dark.
Than anything else, right?
Yeah. So the way we compartmentalize it in our brains, like, oh, this is what Iran-Contra was. This is about Barry Seal. This is JFK. This is part of a long pattern of empire going on for decades. And it's the same crap happening over and over again. And the average American is the one who's traumatized by these wars and is left holding the bag. Like you're paying taxes to go to you. I mean, it's unbelievable to go to Ukraine to get all these kids killed. It's sick. It's evil. It's evil. And it's all part of this whole dark world and money laundering, sex trafficking, drugs, and wealth transfer. It's sick.
Sometimes I wonder who's pulling the strings. Is it certainly not Americans? Is it the World Economic Forum? Is it a bunch of Swiss bankers?
Whoever's making the money. I think the bankers make money off the war, so they're always encouraging these wars. And also the stockholders and the old families, whether it's Vanguard or BlackRock or whoever that is, who holds those stocks, they make money. Like that was really Dick Cheney's great thing, is that he made all those defense contractors trillions of dollars, not billions, but he made it through these wars. So there's a financial incentive for the meat grinder. They're literal war pigs, just like Black Sabbath. I mean, it's actually Black Sabbath is probably the right band to sing that song, because it's like they are generals are like witches at black masses. It's an occult thing. They're that evil. The average person couldn't do that.
It reminds me of the saying, war is the health of the state.
Yeah, the health of the state. That's right.
And the old Marine Corps General book, War is a Racket.
Yeah, that's Medley Butler.
Yeah.
He knew he was one of the good guys. He actually survived, which is good. Like some of them don't make it, but he was one of the truth tellers who made it, and left us a book, so people can do it. Those wars a racket. Like people who are war happy or these people pro war are sick. Like there's a craziness to it, and an uncaring for the suffering of others. Like they just don't care. Like they don't care. This whole war in Ukraine. Have you seen anybody go in and say, like, recheck themselves morally publicly? Like, wow, maybe this wasn't a good idea. You know what I mean? Like nobody pulls back from Ukraine
made people think.
What's that?
The war in Ukraine, because more people learn about it, they're asking questions and be thinking what they might think. What goes on. But everybody, so many people don't understand even the basics, because so many people aren't military background, right? They believe what they read. They have no self-education to check something.
And it kind of actually interesting to bring it full circle. It goes back to like my first comments in our discussion today, where they don't understand that the guys who are the journalists are in bed with the politicians.
Yes.
Like they don't get it. They think they're independent, so they're getting a sanitized, spoonerized, purged view of the truth, and that's why the independent journalists, if you can find them out there, are really like Hopsiker, are really golden. They're so important, like to support your independent journalist or somebody who's at least trying to tell you the truth. I think
Well, what you do is so
I
important.
try to.
Yeah.
But the other one, what's that one firm? It's the guy. There was an ex-journalist. I think he was a Time journalist who fed up and started his own independent gig. He passed away, but he does really good work. And so the good news is that you have this technology now, like we're using today, where you can kind of get the word out. You know, I mean, you get suppressed. Like they won't monetize me on YouTube. I have harmful content, Wayne. Get out of town. It's harmful. Like they're making the corporate beast system is determining, like, if it's harmful, people just don't have to listen to it, right? Like, but they are censoring under that pretense.
But yet YouTube will allow pedophiles.
Oh, pedophiles. I think that somebody sent me something like there was a girl in a negligee showering or something that they'll leave on there, like an underage girl.
Yeah.
And and there's tons of pedophiles. So they are totally, that's another part of it evil. That's a whole nother discussion, but I think YouTube is evil.
Absolutely. Anyway, sir, I take up way much of your time.
Okay.
I do appreciate
I'm sorry,
it.
I was barfing out a lot of
No, I appreciate your time.
It's good to talk with you. Take care.
Thank you.